Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. This week with two of our correspondents looking forward to a big encounter in Gameweek 11. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Leeds United correspondent, Andy Martin. How are you, Andy?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm good, James. Yeah, thanks for having me. 3 points yesterday, so I'm buzzing about that.
You've already ruined this. Andy's doing the timestamp on this. Yep, we're pre-recording this on Monday evening, just in case Raphinha gets injured in training on Tuesday or anything like that. And also, let me introduce you to Aaron Lagor, our Leicester City correspondent. How are you, Aaron?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Good to be here.
Good man. Thank you, mate. Right, Andy, you seem keen to talk about it. I get the sense that yesterday was a big relief, Sunday, was a big relief to win at Norwich.
Yeah, Sunday was all about the result, less about the performance. Just get out of Norwich with the 3 points, bring it home. And it was a relief when the full-time whistle went that we got the 3 points, because we can't be not taking 3 points off Norwich. So, yeah, happy with that. Happy with the result. Performance wasn't great apart from Raphinha.
Why has this start been sloppy? Because we kind of spoke about it in pre-season and a few people saying, second season syndrome. And I mean, your opinion was no, it'll be fine. My opinion was no, it'll be fine. You've obviously had some injury issues, but so have many teams. Is it a simple case of that? When you miss key players, you're in big trouble?
It is that, but there's certain players that I've noticed in the last few weeks just aren't as fit as they were previously. I mean, people like Dallas, who's had COVID, and he's had a few issues off the pitch, I think. He's not completely up to speed. I think when you look at him last season, he was everywhere. He was in midfield and defence, energetic for 90 minutes. I don't feel like it's the same for him this season. I don't think Harrison is performing as well. And when you have the injuries that we've had as well, I think it's a combination of all that. It's just, the lack of depth. It's not completely right, but...
Is Dallas one? It's just a bit blinding because essentially he hasn't had attacking return since game week 1. So, I mean, for those who perhaps don't watch as much as Leeds, probably looking at it and going, okay, this guy played fullback / midfield, loads of attacking returns last year. He's not been someone we've barely mentioned all season, in spite of the fact, actually, in pre-season, we were like, actually, if Harrison and Raphinha had been more, he wouldn't be bad as a fifth midfielder, but he'd be well off the agenda at the moment, wouldn't he?
Oh, completely well off the agenda. He doesn't seem to be getting forward to the edge of the box and taking shots on. He seems to be in the kind of area of centre midfield, and that's about it, where before he was getting everywhere. I don't know if it's a fitness issue. I don't know if it's a mental issue. But he's someone that's declined, I think, in the last few weeks, noticeably.
So last year, it became kind of a running joke amongst Leeds fans, right? People saying, they're going to tail off. They're going to be knackered. Are you now saying that you are?
No, I don't. We look less fit than we did last season. At the end of last season, I thought we were the fittest team around and we looked really sharp. But that was because perhaps we had the first team there and we had momentum. But it's been stuttering since day one, really, this season. It's just not. We can't string 3 passes together. People can't control the ball. I don't know what it is. And you look around the pitch and the people filling in for the players missing is a big issue. Tyler Roberts should never be on the pitch again for Leeds.
Harsh.
I'm glad. Yeah, well, he can't trap a ball. I could do what he does on the pitch. It's like probably just the same as him. Like trap a ball and give it someone else. He can't even do that at times. I don't know. He hasn't got a goal or assist. I don't know what Bielsa sees in him. He must be tearing up in training, because when he gets on that pitch at Elland Road, I see nothing from him.
So it feels difficult from the outside to pinpoint quite what the issue is then, because you're basically saying to me, it's a bit more than the injuries. I mean, I looked at your team that lined up at Southampton the other week, for example, and I thought...
I was laughing. I was
like, if that team lines up every week, then you really will be in trouble.
Yeah. Southampton should have won 4 or 5-0 that game. I was watching the game. It was 4:30 in the afternoon. I was laughing to myself, like, how is this 1-0? How are we still in the game? Because it was a joker performance. We couldn't get up the pitch. Southampton pinned us back. We didn't have any runners from midfield. And you take some key members out of our squad, and the depth isn't there, so it's going to affect things. And that's perhaps an issue where our first 11 can compete with anyone. You take a few cogs out of the machine and you fall apart because you've got Tyler Roberts coming.
Right. I'm going to come back on some of them individuals. Aaron, wasn't a great result for your team at the weekend. Do you look back on the defeat to Arsenal and do you think that's not good enough? Or do you look at it in hindsight and go, wow, we had so many chances. Keepers had a bit of a worldie. The XG looks really high on the statistics. How do you feel when you reflect on that game?
Well, disappointed to lose, obviously, but we just gave ourselves too much to do. I mean, they came out of the blocks pretty quickly. We were very sloppy, looked a bit disorganised. And before you know it, we're 2-0 down and we're always chasing the game. It's always very difficult for us chasing a game. We're not particularly great at, coming back from going a goal down in any game, really. So, yeah, I think... and obviously then he changed the formation at half time to try and get something different going. But yeah, I mean, like you say, if you look at the stats, we did look like we battered them a little bit, but we never really felt as if it was going to happen for us. We had a lot of attempts, but they were high. Ramsdale had a great game, obviously, didn't he? But it was there wasn't any clear cut chances. They were all kind of like half chances.
No, that's really what I said on Monday. Despite you having quite a lot of pressure and quite a lot of efforts, I never actually had the sense that you were going to score. It never felt like it was coming. And I didn't even actually have that thought of, well, do you know what? If Leicester score here, Arsenal will shit themselves and the equaliser will come. I didn't have that feeling. And I've had this kind of lingering feeling all season with your team, Aaron, that something's missing. And I mean, it's fair to say there's a couple of absentees, notably Fofana, which then led to Vestergaard buying. There's been other injuries in the defensive setup at the moment. But it feels like something's not right. Then it felt like maybe you'd landed on it with the switch to the back three, and yet that's got pulled apart again at half time. And it feels like you're kind of a bit of square one at the moment.
I think it sums up our whole season at the moment. It's just been a bit all over the place. Like he obviously, we're 10 games in now, and he still doesn't know like our best formation. And like we spoke about in the past, it seems as if it's kind of like Iheanacho against Barnes, and it depending on who they play in the team, that's how they're going to set up formation wise. I mean, obviously we're always going to miss a player like Ndidi, who's been out. So whether he'll go back to who was actually on the bench at the weekend. So, promising signs we could do with him back. But not as if Samare's done particularly badly in that position. But he makes a big difference to us. But yeah, it's all a bit of a mess, really. I can't work it out myself from week to week. And obviously now from half to half, he can't work it out himself. So I don't have the answers for it.
So the pair of you, pair of clowns, aren't you? Neither of you know what's wrong with your teams, basically, which actually makes for something really interesting tactically for the weekend, because I think, Andy, we know it's kind of common knowledge. Everyone knows if the opposition is playing two up front, you're three at the back. If it's one up front, it's four at the back. But what does he do now? Because we don't know what Leicester are going to do.
No, exactly. I mean, he's got to play Pascal Strokes, right? And then kind of move him about. I don't know. Yeah. Depends if Firpo's back. Does he go with Firpo? Because Firpo might be fit again at the weekend. So does he go to left side? But then if they play one up top, how does that change it? Who knows? I think
that's the way around it, isn't it? Pick a team that once he sees the Leicester team, he can go, that's the setup.
Yeah. I think that's the best way around it. And I think Bielsa will change it once he knows the Leicester lineup. If he sees Vardy and Iheanacho, just the two of them, then he'll change it up. So
does that work though? Putting Struijk in midfield with Phillips, that doesn't feel like a great balance to me.
No, Phillips can do the job on his own. I prefer it if it's just Phillips and have Struijk in the middle with Llorente. I said this at the end of last season. I think Struijk and Llorente built up a great partnership. And if we're playing four at the back, I think it should be those two as centre backs and Cooper to be dropping out. Personally.
How far away is Elland? Because he's been a bit of a miss for you as well.
Yeah, that's the one that is a knee injury. So there's no time scale on it. I don't think it's too close. I wouldn't like to say maybe 3 or 4 weeks perhaps.
Because he's the easiest one to use to shove the system, isn't he? Pop him in right-sided centre-back and then right back if you're going to play a back four instead.
Yeah, I mean, Shackleton can do that, right? Shackleton can play right over 3.
Is there any word on his injury? Because he obviously went off towards the end of the Norwich game.
Yeah, I don't know at this stage. Not too sure.
What you reckon, Aaron? What's the next step in your opinion? And admittedly, obviously, you've got a Europa League game to play first as well. But I don't actually think that will give us any clues, because he'll change a lot of the lineup, or will he? Because you're actually in a bit of a precarious position in terms of trying to qualify from that, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. I would imagine he might go fairly strong, to be honest. Yeah, I think it might have throw some clues out on Thursday night and how he'll go, because he does like to try and keep it consistent, but then it's when he changes it, then it sort of flips around, and I just don't know at the moment. It's I can't work it out. Really can't work it out.
Are you frustrated with Rodgers at the moment? Is he part of the cause of the issues? Because you have to look at that defensive record and say, hang on, this has been going on for too long. Last 8 game weeks of last season, you were averaging conceding 2 goals per game. Just look at your fixtures since sort of like game week 3. You've conceded 2 goals in every game bar 1, which was the 2-1 win at Brentford. Even the game you won against United was 1-4-2. So, I mean, there's ongoing issues, isn't there, defensively? Is he part of fault because he keeps chopping and changing this?
I think so. I mean, a lot has come down to the fact that there's been a lot of we haven't had kind of a full squad to pick from for so long. We've had a lot of injuries over the last sort of 18 months or so, and that obviously causes an imbalance because he can't sort of put his best team out. But he needs to make a decision on whether he needs to just go with the 3 at the back or go for a 4. But he does change it a lot on personnel. So, the fact that there has been personnel dropping out, like I said, on Didi and stuff, whether he's thought that, Johnny needs a bit more protection at the back there because he's, coming back from quite a long injury and stuff. There's a lot that comes into it, I think. But yeah, we need to get people back fit and just a settled team again. I think ultimately we probably do look best with a 4 at the back, providing everybody's fit. But if you play that, then you are then looking at that right-sided position as being, picked from anyone between sort of Perez, Albrighton and Lookman at the moment. It doesn't really fill you with a massive amount of confidence. The rest of the team looks pretty strong, but it's a strange one. I think there's definitely a lot that comes into the fact that we've had injuries and stuff, but.
I mean, you've both conceded 17 goals so far this season, which part expect with your chaotic setup sometimes, Andy. But I think, you're close to averaging that still again, first 10 games of this season, Aaron. I think if you want to push towards the top 4 again, which because of other people's stuttering form, is not out of reach. I think the last few years, you've started really great. And that would be the concern, that kind of this sloppy form to the start of this season is a continuation to not a brilliant finish to last season with kind of shambles performances like Newcastle at home and then the final day even against Tottenham. As you can see, 4 goals to Tottenham, mate. Never mind Newcastle. Andy, your manager, what was that reaction at the end of the game on Sunday?
What, where he just had his head bowed and stayed there for about 10 seconds?
What was it?
Just contemplating. I think he's just playing over in his head how the match went before he can. Okay, how the match went. What happened.
Looked so annoyed. That's how it put to me. It was like Daniel Farke came across and it was like, I can't be bothered to shake your hand. I don't know if my team should have battered you 3 or 4-0 or what was going through his mind.
Yeah, even the reaction when Raphinha knocked him over as well. It was kind of a strange one. You see that when Raphinha knocked him down?
Well, I've never seen him laugh. So, I mean, I think most people naturally would out of nervousness, but he just got up like nothing had happened.
It's like, that happens every day. Yeah, let's carry on. But I think it's just contemplating what happened. The process of his mind works different to everyone else's mind. I can't explain it. He's a unique man, isn't he? So
has he signed that contract yet?
Yeah,
he has.
For like 12 months. Yeah.
Okay, so he's under contract too.
Yeah, he's under contract. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Raphinha, Andy. Despite
what
obviously returning and scoring at the weekend. I say returning, he hadn't actually been anywhere, but obviously the fact he came off against Wolves made a lot of people nervous he wasn't going to play.
Yeah,
I still getting a lot of questions following the Norwich game of, should I sell him for Smith Rowe or should I sell him for Gallagher? And hang on a minute, them next 5 fixtures don't look too bad to me. We've just spoken about Leicester's defensive issues. And I think I want to credit, I think it's big man backer from the wire, who said actually Leicester have conceded more chances from the left-hand side of their pitch than any other team in the league, which is Raphinha's zone. He can't be sold, can he, Andy?
No, I mean, I was actually thinking, like, I want to see how we perform against Norwich. I want to see how he performs against Norwich before I evaluate things. Like, if I didn't see anything at all, then I'll be thinking, okay, maybe Raphinha isn't a season-long keeper. But after yesterday and how he performed and how much of a superstar he is on the pitch compared to everyone else, 6.5 million, you can't get any better asset than him for that price. Like, he creates stuff on his own. He doesn't need his teammates particularly. If he gets the ball, he can take on players and cut inside and shoot. Sometimes he has to do it all on his own, which is scary, really. That he hasn't got any help. Because, I mean, on that right-hand side yesterday, Ombadeli, that's it, yeah, you said it better. But he was getting torn apart. Just he was running around looking like, what's happening? Where's Raphinha?
Well, I think they played him out there because it was like, there's no way Williams or Jan Ulis are going to deal with him, so we'll stick on Ombadeli there. And poor fella was out of his depth positionally, unfortunately.
Yeah. He doesn't really play there, so perhaps it's a bit harsh on him. But just the way Raphinha is, his touch, his creation, he tries to create so much for players that can't do it. Like, he's elite, but he's beyond our club. Like, we're so lucky to have him. He's one of the best players in the league, in my opinion. And you're going to have him to the summer, and that'll be it. He's going to go. And I think you've got to keep him in your team. If you own him, imagine getting rid of him, and imagine watching Leeds game if you don't own him, because that's scary, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly for those who've used the first wildcard. I mean, I'm looking to wildcard in 16, Andy, and my actual thought is probably to go without him, because your fixtures then are Chelsea away, City away, Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, and then have a look again afterwards. I feel like I can do without him over that period. But kind of like what you said, like, if Leeds can find some of the form from last year and perform well in these bigger games, he'd do well even in them games, wouldn't
he? Even like against Chelsea, like one counter attack, if Raphinha picks up the ball, he could score and come away with 9 points again, like yesterday. He can take on 2 or 3 players, even at Chelsea's level. He's that good a player that can do it all on his own, score a goal. We lose like 3-1, but he still picks up 8-9 points. So he's that kind of player. And I think even against the bigger teams, you still got to get chances and still got to try and create stuff. So I've after yesterday, for me to think during the week, if he doesn't perform against Norwich, I might lose him. I can't. But perhaps I'm biased. But I think even in tough fixtures, he's that good a player. He's that much of a talisman now for us that you can't lose him.
Is that, Aaron, is that a fear for you then, Raphinha, based on what I've said about them left-sided statistics as well? And why do you think that's happening?
I guess the chopping and changing on that side. I mean, he played Thomas there at the weekend, didn't he? But I mean, Thomas is not a left wing back for me. He's a very average left back with a bit of potential, but he's not going to give you what Castagna would on that left hand side. It would be a worry. Raphinha is. I totally agree with Andy. I think he's one of the best players in the league on his day. He can be unplayable. So they're going to want to target that left hand side, aren't they? If we're looking a little bit weak, and if Castagna does play there, it's yes, he plays there, but it's not his natural position, is it? He prefers it more on the right. So and he's one of them that tries to go forward quite a bit as well. So they might be able to exploit that. Yeah,
I mean, I think if you double up against Raphinha, we haven't got anything else in our team that can do anything. So if I was the opposition manager, I'd say like double up on Raphinha. They've got nothing else.
Yeah.
But then Leicester have a bit of a bias towards attacking down the right-hand side, actually. Normally, whether it's Pereira or Castagna plays that side, invariably ends up a lot higher. Like, I'd say, irrespective of whether you play a 3 or 4 at the back, whoever plays right back or right wing back ends up being really high. So do you overcompensate? I mean, one solution actually for the one game you'd think actually to match up with him on the day would maybe be, if Pereira is back available, to play Pereira on that side, possibly for the game. But then why is Ryan Bertrand not seen many minutes?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that on the weekend. I'd probably prefer to play Bertrand there rather than Thomas. It gives you way more going forward. So I don't know, unless he wasn't quite right. I'm not sure. Like Pereira didn't play again at the weekend, did he? So you sold him at the right time. Just no consistency there at all.
I wasn't happy about it though, because I think if he played
He
every
did
week, he's
start,
still
didn't
a
he?
brilliant
Yeah.
potential asset. Although I think if I'd have known that your defensive woes were going to continue this way, I wouldn't have bothered in the first place. But it looked like a cheeky, clever punt after 3 game weeks of the season. But
One clean sheet all season says it all, doesn't it? Really?
Well, and the opening day, obviously, against
and it shouldn't have
Wolves.
been. You know, they could have easily got 2 or 3.
Absolutely. You think of the Traore miss in the first half and stuff like that. Yeah. There's been a lot of talk, Andy, particularly like with Bamford out, the idea of Raphinha going central. And I think that in both of the last 2 games, the team's dropped and people have thought, oh, is he going to do it this time? But there's a real reluctance to do that. Why do you think that is? Because say if Leicester did go down and went, yeah, do you know what? We're going to play, let's say Bertrand left-sided centre-back and Ricardo Pereira left wing-back and really lock down that side. You kind of want him to go and disappear and float, wouldn't you? Because he's your best player.
Yeah, there is that. But I think a lot of the time when we start to play, Meslier rolls it to the right-hand side. Like it used to be Ayling as the out ball to progress up the pitch. So Raphinha collects the ball and then we start to play from there kind of thing. So we move up the pitch. And I think they're still doing that. I saw a lot with Shackleton picking up the ball and Raphinha hugs that touchline so that we can give our best player the ball so we can get up the pitch a bit better. So that I think Bielsa likes to do that. And that's why I think he's on the right-hand side and not centrally. Because I think perhaps he can cause more damage on the right if he's hugging that touchline and he gets a chance to control the ball and then take on people. I think it's a better thing than perhaps in a crowded centre midfield position or number 10 position, which I think is good. I think James is being more central now, isn't he, in recent games?
Yeah. What have you made of him? Is he exactly what you chanted to him in game week 1?
Yeah.
Which, for the benefit of those who never heard that, the last time Andy was you're too shit to play for Leeds.
Yeah. He's okay. It's nothing special, is he?
You don't rate him, do you? Be honest, mate.
Not particularly. I think we could have spent the money a lot better. I think we needed someone more centrally, more kind of box to box. I mean, we look at people. We were linked with Gallagher. I don't know why we couldn't get Gallagher or even someone on loan like Lingard or Barkley, someone like that who can carry with the ball in centre midfield. And he's just a bit of a speed merchant. He's not that good control. I don't rate his balance particularly much. I don't think he's got anything about him. He's fine.
Let go, Andy. Let go. Say what you really feel, mate.
I just think it's a lot of money for someone who's okay. He's a good squad player, but we could have spent the money better.
I think his best impact, ironically, is actually playing against stronger teams who are not used to being broken on the counter and with quite such speed as you would do with, say, James and Raphinha. Certainly that's when he's been effective for Manchester United, is in games when they played on the counter-attack rather than a possession-based game.
I think he's good when he's running without the ball. So if he hasn't got the ball, he's good. Because he can kind of stretch defences. But with the ball, I don't think he's that good.
And what's happened to Harrison? Because I started the season with him, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't for kind of getting the news kind of half hour before deadline the night you played Newcastle that he wasn't going to play and Raphinha definitely was, and I switched him over, I could have still been sitting there with Harrison because every week I'd be looking at it going, great fixture, great fixture, great fixture. And I always fancied to score in just about every game anyway. What's happened? Because we spoke so much in pre-season about the idea that potentially from an FPL point perspective anyway, he could rival Raphinha, but he doesn't. I mean, I didn't think he looked at it on Sunday personally.
No, I think he's perhaps lost confidence. I mean, like you said, start of the season, there was double up. We were thinking when the good fixtures come around, Harrison, Raphinha, cheap enough, go double up. You wouldn't touch him at all now. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. He seems to not want the ball. I'd like to know why Harrison has gone off the ball so much. Really,
it's a problem though, isn't it? Because I mean, last year he contributed so much to your attack. I'm just looking at 18 attacking returns last season.
Absolutely brilliant season.
We're in game week 10 now. Has he even got one yet? I don't think he's even got one yet. Has he, Andy?
Don't believe so. No.
Obviously, he's not played all the minutes, but coming up to 600 minutes, you would expected something in kind of the equivalent to, say, 6.5 games or so. And with Bamford out, it just puts so much more pressure on the brilliant Brazilian, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's all reliant on Raphinha. You saw that yesterday. I don't know why Harrison's dropped off, because I really rate him and I think he's a great player. But for some reason his confidence has gone, and I don't know why he looks again like Dallas, a bit not as fit as he was. He doesn't seem to be, the sprints aren't there. I don't know. I wish I could put my finger on it of why we can't string like 4 or 5 passes together, and we can't, like last season we had like 5 players in the box every attack, and now it's just a bit disjointed and relying on Raphinha too much. But yeah,
I think you're tired, Andy. You just don't want to admit it.
Not tired.
The other player I managed to get off, Aaron, was Harvey Barnes not long ago as well.
Yeah.
And to be honest, again, he would have been sitting there because I'd have gone, oh, I'm not bothered about Brentford away and Arsenal at home. And ironically, he had one of the highest XGs of all the players in game week 10, despite only coming on at half time. Really should have returned the game with an attacking return.
Never really convincing.
What is this theory that we've got about Barnes and Iheanacho? What is this, and why does it exist? This idea that it just seems like they never played together.
Yeah, I think it shows that Barnes' best form of last season was when we played in a particular formation when Kelechi wasn't in the team. Then Barnes got injured and Kelechi managed to get himself into the team, and they changed the formation to sort of suit him, really. I just, he's tried it in other games where he's played both of them and it doesn't quite look right. I think it's one or the other. But it's a shame because they're 2 of our best players, aren't they? So I don't think he can get both of them in the team and make it work with Vardy.
Could he stay with this back 3 and play Barnes at 10 and play Vardy and Iheanacho / Daka up front? Because with each passing game that goes by, I become less and less convinced that James Maddison's actually going to fulfill the ability that's there.
Yeah. He could do. It's not his natural position, and he's quite good at carrying the ball, Barnes, and driving. Maybe more from a kind of inside left position than he would be central. A little bit like Raphinha to a degree, but obviously on the other side. I think you'd be more worried about Barnes running at you from there than you would, trying to face up at 10. So I don't think he goes there. I mean, They tried in the League Cup game last week. They played Daka up top, and then they played Barnes, and I think it was Lookman, like kind of in behind, and so maybe just like off a 10 sort of thing, off. But again, it didn't look great. Barnes didn't look very like comfortable in that position. So I just don't think it works. I actually think he'll go back to a 4 at the back. Now Evans is fully fit, and if indeed he comes back in, it makes us look a little bit more solid there, doesn't it? The only weak spot in our team then really is the right-hand side. But providing he can get enough support to Vardy, I think that's how it works. So, it's a shame on Iheanacho, though.
Talk me through that then. We obviously don't need to talk about the goalkeeper, but that looks like what? Pereira and Castagne is the fullbacks if they're both fit?
Yeah,
and what?
Castagne or Bertrand, possibly.
Are we saying Evans and Siyunchu at the moment?
Yeah.
Samare and Tielemans. Tielemans having a great season, to be fair, actually. Again.
He is. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if indeed he's fit enough, he'll come in for Samare. Then it'll be Maddison at 10, Barnes on the left. I guess Lookman on the right. And then Vardy
possibly.
Yeah.
And so then back to Vardy on his own.
Yeah.
It's better for Vardy on his own, isn't it? In a weird kind of quirk. Does it feel that way to you? Just in terms of his attacking output?
Well, you've only got to look at our results when we were playing that system earlier on this season. He was getting all his returns, wasn't he? The last couple of weeks or so when we've changed it, messed around with the system, is not quite done as well. It's a really difficult one, isn't it? Really difficult one to work out.
We got an interesting question for you, Andy, because just looking at your fixtures made me think about it again, actually. There's been a bit of debate, Vardy or Kane, lately in terms of buying one. And careful, because at time of recording, we don't actually know who the Tottenham manager is going to be. But you've got to play.
We do.
I don't want to put my flag to the mast at this stage, unfortunately. I'm ruining it when this comes out in 3 days. Heaven forbid.
Imagine.
No, let's not. You've got to play Vardy and Kane in the next 2. Who should worry Leeds United specifically more?
Tough one. I would say Vardy.
Is that down to pace and in behind?
Pace, pacing in behind.
Yeah,
I think. I think because Kane likes to drop deep, I think Phillips can stick with Kane. Perhaps that's a good ploy to have. I think with Vardy, he'll be playing on the last man and running in behind. So I think Vardy's the more dangerous opponent.
Vardy and Barnes did quite well at your place last season as well, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Pace on the counter and stuff. So
yeah, the two games were very interesting last year because I mean you won 4-1 at Elland Road fairly early in the season, and actually you didn't play badly actually, Andy, and you had a brilliant spell at 2-1 where it looked like equaliser were going to come, and then Leicester took the game away from you towards the end, and actually then you went a goal down at the King Power and played very well there and won 3-1 and finally deserved to.
Yeah, that
was when Bamford assisted. I want to say Harrison, and he was worried he was going to ruin his fantasy team, weren't it? Because he'd captained himself and he was only going to get the assist rather than the goal. But I think that says that actually when you look all in, the amount of goals the two teams are conceding, and despite the fact there's actually problems in both teams at the moment, the two fixtures last year certainly leads me to think there'll be goals this weekend. And I see a few people muttering, Aaron, about moving Vardy on. I mean, it's not this week, is it? No way.
No, you got to give him this week, I think. And then, I guess if people have got one eye on Kane, then, and a certain manager comes in and you turn the corner very quickly, then the funds could go that way, couldn't they? But no, I don't think you sell him this week.
I think
you can't be selling Vardy this week. You can't be selling Vardy this week. No way. Not against us.
No.
I think what will happen though, if he blanks this week, it will be 3 blanks in a row. And then next week, you're looking at Tottenham coming into 4 good fixtures. Ronaldo's got Watford away. If it's going to be affordable, people are going to be looking to make the jump. I'm not necessarily sure they should do, because actually, when you look beyond Chelsea, which Vardy's proven over years, and admittedly, they're probably the best defensive team at the moment, but he's proven he can score in these big games, isn't he? And after that, Watford at home, Southampton away, Villa away, Newcastle at home, Tottenham at home, Everton away, takes you up to Man City in game week 19. That's a good run of fixtures.
It is, yeah. I've got Vardy at the minute as well, and he's on borrowed time because I only bought him in a couple of weeks ago for his 2 blanks.
What's your plan, Aaron? What's your thinking ahead with it then?
Well, it'll stay this week, like we discussed, but I may be tempted by Kane, but I know I need to see a lot of difference, and obviously watching Leeds close up as well will probably make my mind up, because then he plays them the following week, doesn't he? So
true.
But if I'm not seeing much from Kane, then I'm happy to keep Vardy, because he potentially you could keep him for that run of games. He's going to score goals, isn't he? If we can get our house in order, then he will prove value at that price.
Who are you at time of recording, Aaron? Who are you intending to captain in FPL this weekend?
Is that a silly question?
Not really, no.
Probably on Salah.
I mean, that's probably the correct answer that most people are obviously going to give at the moment. But actually, when you cold light of day, Vardy at Leeds, with everything we're saying,
yeah,
is it actually a better call?
It could be. There's good, like you say, there's going to be goals in the game, isn't there? It's absolutely nailed on for both teams to score, really. So possibly. There's
a few others further down the line. I mean, it's a shame actually from a captaincy perspective, when you've got Watford at home in 13, Salah's got Southampton at home, so I don't think you can particularly fight against it. And also Newcastle at home further down the line in 16, Salah's got Villa at home. So the two that kind of stand out, and you don't have to be captain Vardy at his price, but the two that you'd think, they stand out, I could, are the 2 weeks where he does look like Salah's got really good fixtures as well, and it's probably not worth the argument. It's a shame we're in this position that the right call is, unfortunately, to captain Salah. And I think if I own Jamie Vardy, I'd still be captain Mo Salah. There's so many people who've got such great options in this coming week, potentially, and yet he's kind of forced into it. You're nodding as well, Andy. Is that where you stand on it at the moment?
Yeah, I've got a captain Salah, even though if I knew Reece James was playing, I'd be tempted to captain Reece James this week if I knew he was playing for definite. But you just got to go Salah. I don't at the moment. I think a lot of people are doing that.
What about Raphinha?
No, it's good enough to own him.
I take it you do own Raphinha, Andy.
Yeah. I've had him all season. Yeah. And he's staying put. He's always going to play in my first 11.
Is he the only Leeds investment for you at the moment?
Yes, I can't see how I'll get anyone else but Raphinha in my team.
Well, there was one name that was obviously getting a little bit of attention. I think people were a bit disappointed not to see him at the weekend. I think you know who I'm talking about, Andy.
Yeah, Gelhardt, 4.5.
I just wanted you to say it because I knew I was going to forget his name.
He's a great player. He's direct, which is great to see. And I don't know how he doesn't come on instead of Roberts. Like, he should be getting the minutes to come off the bench. Because he can influence the game because he is direct. He's got quick feet. He's energetic, lively, likes a shot as well. So it should be Gelhardt coming on. And if you are scratching around for money and you want a bench fodder, he's probably the best 4.5 forward.
Well, I think if you are wildcarding at the moment, or you're in a 3-5-2 structure and have the luxury of choosing the 4.5 you go to up front, that's where you go at the moment. I mean,
the thing is, you got Broga. That's 5 million though. Southampton.
But with Gelhardt, you're never starting him, are you? Until you knew he was in the team, and that's not a debate at the moment, is it?
Yeah, that's true.
So he is an easy one to leave as third sub. Whereas Broja, he's obviously as an asset, he's worth paying the 0.5 more, but then you've got the selection headache every week to come with that. I just wonder on reflection, Andy, the fact he came on against Wolves, whether it was maybe because it was quite a desperate situation with Raphinha gone off injured and you were chasing the game. And without Raphinha, you didn't really have anyone to carry the ball for you.
Yeah.
Whereas at Norwich at the weekend, I know Roberts has only come on for a couple of minutes, but you're holding on to a lead. It's a different game situation, isn't it? So
yeah, we don't need Gelhardt in the game we're winning. Perhaps, yeah. If we're chasing, then perhaps he is the man to bring on, which that'd be good to see.
You think he'll get more minutes moving forward?
Yeah, I hope so. I think so. I don't see. Yeah, he did look fantastic for half an hour against Wolves. I think he had like 4 or 5 shots as well against them. So he was really, really on it. And there's a few youngsters that are coming through, and I think Bielsa is trying to integrate some of them because they had a good season with the under-23s last year. So he is trying to progress some, and he likes to work with a small squad. So why not get the youngsters in?
Any Leeds players in your team, Aaron?
Yeah, just Raphinha.
No, I take it he's not going anywhere for you.
Season, he's not going anywhere. No, unless he's out for a long period of time.
He's definitely an overused word, but for me, he does strike me as can be a season keeper. I even look at that difficult 4-game week run, 16 to 19. I think for me, because I want a wild card there, I probably will take a chance and go against him. But otherwise, I think he'll just stay for me. I think he's an absolutely super player.
Yeah, and annoyingly as well, I mean, we mentioned about, the flags, yellow flags, but it's not to do with his fitness. It's to do with the knocks he's getting. People are taking him out and stamping on his ankles, and he's got quick feet, so people are kicking his shins and stuff. So he's so fit. It's not to do with his hamstrings are going or anything like that. Yellow flags are coming because he's getting knocked around.
That injury looked quite bad actually last week as well.
Yeah, he was lucky to get away with that.
Yeah,
it's a red card all day. That was Saiz.
Yeah.
Oh, Saiz is horrible. Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Any Leicester players in yours, Aaron, at the moment? You've got Vardy.
I've got Vardy.
Is he the only one?
Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere near anyone else at the moment. The only one who obviously has been pretty consistent most of the season is Tielemans.
Yeah, that's what we'd ask you about. Yeah, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you asked me last time I was on the pod, and you said, pick one between Barnes, Tielemans, and Maddison, and I said, no, none of them. But I guess in hindsight, maybe Tielemans was the one. But the thing is,
I still got Barnes. What's wrong with me?
The thing is with Tielemans is obviously you look at his returns, and he's got a couple of 10-pointers in there, but his goals are screamers, aren't they? Like that, that's not really consistent kind of point. He's got avenues to points because he takes like set pieces and stuff. But the goal against United is, he's
did he mean it?
Gone. Yeah, I know. I couldn't work it out myself. I think he probably did because there wasn't particularly anyone in the box. He probably just chanced his arm, but obviously got lucky.
I'm not convinced he was. That Mwepu one at Liverpool at the weekend, he definitely meant it. I'm not convinced Tielemans meant that.
Yeah,
I've just upset a load of people. But you are right in the sense of what you're saying there, that he's if he did mean it, was a fantastic goal, obviously, and the goal at Brentford is an absolute screamer.
Yeah,
obviously when he does return, because he's so involved in the football matches and the way he plays, he is liable to pick up the bonus on top of that. I mean, assist at home to Burnley resulted in a 7-pointer in a 2-2 draw. I mean, it tells you something about the prospect of the player. If he's going to get returns, the bonus is highly likely to come with it.
Yeah, he's good on DPS, isn't he?
My concern, if you were going on him at the moment, is I think he's got to be, because his mate and Diddy's not there, he's got to be a little bit more conscious of what he's doing. But I don't mind what I've seen of Samari so far, mate.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah. He's very different to Ndidi, isn't he? He's quite he's good on the ball, neat and tidy. He's not done himself any harm at all. He's done a decent job in there, to be honest.
There is one other player that I'm sure a few people will be screaming about, Aaron, Daniel Amati. 3.9 now. What do you do with that? I mean, like, if you were on wildcard at the moment, technically you've got two players who started this week, 3.9s for teams that you would expect to be in and around the top 6 in Ben Johnson at West Ham and Amati at Leicester. I think we know Amati's not a permanent fixture in the Leicester side, but if it's back 3, it feels to me like he probably plays. But I'd never start him, I don't think, because you look shite defensively, mate.
Yeah,
it would be a cost-saving exercise, and therefore I wonder if am I even worth? I mean, if I said to you, right, you've got to buy a Marty at 3.9 or Manquillo at 4.0, who do you buy?
Yeah, God, it's an easy one, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it? What's the answer?
Manquillo.
Is it really? Is that the point?
Yeah, I think so. And they're not keeping clean sheets either, obviously, but he's got more attacking wise, hasn't he?
Very short term, they've got some interesting free fixtures coming up, and yes, he is subject to manager. I mean, look, they could change the manager and he might be out of the team, but they've got Brentford, Norwich, Burnley at home at their next 3 home games in 12, 14, 15. I mean, if you need the cover, that probably sounds better than a Marty I'd look at and I go, there's no way he stays there. And I think you get to like 13 and have a selection headache, and I go, is he even going to play at home to Watford? It's Watford at home. I've got to play him. Do I even trust Leicester to get a clean sheet? And he's not the sort of player that's likely to get you attacking returns on top. No. You've killed that one.
No, I wouldn't go there.
Andy's got a Marty. You didn't know that, did you?
Yeah, tripled up in Leicester. Big time.
Have you got any, Andy, in seriousness?
No, I haven't got any. No. I was thinking about Vardy when Lukaku got injured, but I went elsewhere. So I've got your Leicester now.
Where did you go, Andy?
I went to Broha. I've got 6.7 in the bank. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. What, burning a hole in your pocket?
Well, I'm still waiting to see. You're waiting for Spurs to come alive. So
I was going to say, Aaron, I know where he's going to spend it, but I won't ruin it for the other people because, Andy's busy on social media telling everyone what he's doing. So make sure you follow Andy at FPL_tactician on Twitter.
I'm never on social media.
No, of course not. You don't fucking love a tweet, do you? Jesus. At least when Aaron tweets, we know it's serious. Thanks very much, guys. Always a pleasure. Before we let you go, predictions for the weekend then. Correct scores. Andy, home team, off you go.
I'm actually confident. I think we'll win 2-1.
Aaron?
I think Desmond.
Oh, a Desmond 2-2. My thunder has been stolen. I was thinking the same 2-2, actually. Yeah. I'd be amazed if either side gets a clean sheet in this game.
I know.
I know. That's my general intuitions about it, is the way both sides are defending, the 2 fixtures we saw last year as well. It might come down to which, in an odd way, the team that has less of the ball might do well, which might work to Leicester's benefit in an odd way, Andy, because I think they probably adjust stylistically to with and without the ball a little bit better than yourself. It doesn't suit you to be without it, basically.
No. Have you seen the Kalvin Phillips stat, though? With
hit me.
So with him in the team, we've won 50% of our games. Without him in the team, we've won 18%. 18%. Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah.
So what you're saying is you won last week with him. So if it's 50%, you're due not to win the next one, right? That's what you're saying to me. Andy, I've told them already, but where can they follow you on Twitter, mate?
Yeah, it's FPL_tactician.
And for yourself, Aaron?
At Aaron Lagor.
Good man. Thank you both so much. Very best of luck for the weekend. Tomorrow, I don't know what the podcast is going to be yet because it's a people's poll and I don't know who's managing Tottenham because I'm recording this on Monday, but it might have something to do with Tottenham. We'll let you know on socials. Next week's Clash of the Correspondents will be Wolves versus West Ham with Bradley Parker and Chris Stone previewing their encounter in game week 12. We'll also have sixth goal and is my cap playing Watford versus Manchester United the week after before their game week 12 clash as well. But for now, it just leaves me to say thanks again to Andy and to Aaron. Good luck at the weekend, gents. And cue music, please, man child.